Yo, what's up guys? My name is Sandworld and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make the sound from Jumping Jack. For those of you guys who are always asking for the sound at the beginning of the video, this is the sound pretty much. So that's the sound I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make, so make sure to stick around for that. Now, these sounds have been made by me and my good friend Marcelo Sick. We are making a sound bank together. It's going to be called Marcelo Sick Presents. And all the sounds in this are pretty much inspired from that new wave coming in of dance music, which I like to call future big room bounce or future whatever, big room, I guess. But it's a combination of future house kind of rhythm with, you know, like the generic dance music that everyone loves. So there's a lot of sounds in there. It's just not the Jumping Jacks one. There's also these sounds in that sound bank. You know, and then like my personal favorite. But the one we're learning how to make today is going to be Jumping Jacks sound, which I showed you in the first one. Now, this sound bank is going to come out this month for sure. It's just that there have been a little bit of setbacks working with it. Like I've told you guys, I sometimes get writer's block as well. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what makes the sound work. Now, the Haunted Jack sound is going to be Saw inspired, but there's a layer on top of it that's going to give it that pump that Justin Mylo has. So if we go here, if we take off oscillator B, you can see that oscillator B is the meat. It's the pretty much what makes this sound what it is. But when it's put together, we get that kind of, it's kind of like circus in a way sound. So pretty much the way this sound was made is, first off, I always start with saws whenever I remake sound. Saw is the most popular wavetable out there, and a lot of the times you can even FM synthesize a saw to make it sound like wobbles out there, because usually for me, like dubstep wobbles all sound very similar, and I feel like sometimes the wavetables don't even fucking matter to that certain extent. It's more of the programming that you're doing, like if you're pretty much, you know, automating or having an envelope on the FM synth, you know, modulation here, or the an envelope on the wavetable position, you know, you can kind of get stuff going like that. Now this one is going to be an oscillator A. We're going to have a saw with 8 voices and pretty much attunement straight at 12, and blend is in at 80%, which is, in my opinion, blend kind of makes the detunement sound a little bit more, yeah, as you guys can see, more apparent. Now, other than that, we're not going to have anything crazy going on here. Just, you know, the volume of it is set to default. Now, in oscillator B, that's where kind of like the magic happens. Now, here, there's nothing, again, crazy going on, but this is the layer that we need. Now, if this layer by itself at 1 unison sounds like that, but what I've noticed is whenever it comes to like vocal wavetables, having the unison be around 8 and giving it some detunement is going to make it sound, the illusion that it's actually a vocal in a way. It makes it sound like a vocal a little bit more stronger. And that's where that comes from. So 8 voices, detunement, blend is the same, and nothing else is going on crazy, guys. Nothing else, just some macros I added on here, but there's nothing crazy about that. So we're going to turn oscillator A on, and now without the filter and without the effects, you know, you should have something kind of similar to this. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into our filter, just turn it on, set default filter, the low pass, which again, another one of the more popular filters. It covers your highs first and then blah, blah. You know, you guys know the real deal. Okay, so in envelope 3, you know, we're going to go into that one and we're just going to route it to the filter and we're going to open it up, as you guys can see. The cutoff is set to around, you know, 236 hertz, 190 hertz, whatever you want to call it here. You can see it there. Okay, and that's pretty much it. A little bit of resonance, which is going to make the little, where the cut happens, where the slope starts to go down, just kind of get a little boost. That's about it. Nothing else. Again, very simple stuff. The white noise is turned on, but I don't think it's needed. It just doesn't add anything, so I don't know why it's even on. Okay, now in our serum effects, this is where magic's going to happen. We're going to add a hyper and dimensions effect. Now, sorry, we're just going to have the dimensions. My bad. I'm like fucking asleep right now in a way. The hyper doesn't really do much, and I kind of tend to use it more towards more sounds like super saws, because the hyper saw for me comes from the Virus TI Snow or the Virus TI, which I used to own, but then I ended up selling it because, again, you can make similar sounds, again, using Serum and Silent 1. Okay, so in dimensions, we're going to add this just to make it wider at 40%, size is at 33%. There is going to be some distortion to a certain extent if you want to add it, but I'd recommend not to. If you guys want to add the distortion, pretty much what you're going to want is turn the distortion on, the O2 type distortion. Drive is set to 47%, and then the mix, you're going to put it wherever you want. So if I were to click here, you can see that if I have this all the way up, it's at 100%. So you can see it gives it a lot of dirt, and that's only if you need it. That's only if you want it. Again, that's why it's a macro set there. It's not needed. Next step is going to be the chorus, which is going to... You can see it does give it a lot of presence. Now, the chorus for me is one of those effects that it's very undermined. Like, a lot of people don't even bother turning it on, but for me, it's literally one of the effects that I used to make sound fucking bigger, and it kind of gives a sense of like there's another layer there. So with the chorus, we're gonna have the chorus at 37%. Low pass is opened all the way up, so you get the whole effect coming out of the chorus. You don't have it filtered in any way possible. Feedback's at 47, depth's all the way up. Now, delay 1 is set to 12 o'clock, and delay 2 is set to around 10 o'clock or 1.4, and the rate is set low, 0.09. If you were to have your rate very high, it would kind of kill the effect, just because you're gonna start hearing like kind of like this kind of like, it sounds like it's not in key, the preset. Okay, now we're gonna go into the compressor, where we're utilizing a multi-band compressor. Usually when I use it, I don't fuck with anything besides the threshold. Just pull it back to where I think it's necessary. So you're gonna turn that on. Threshold is set to 11.8 dB or 12.0 dB. Anywhere around there, you should be fine. Now the reverb is gonna be just a hard reverb. Should be there by default again, guys. Size is set very low at 6%. Decay is set at 4.7. We're going to have a high cut, 35%, low cut, 0%. I think this is going to be pretty much set by default. Also, the spin and spin death should be by default, but if they're not, you know, just make sure you have it set right. The mix is at 22%. And finally, the EQ is on, and there's nothing going on there. I guess I try to boost the highs. I usually add a booster, but I think the sound itself is already very high. Okay, so once you have that, guys, the sound should be pretty much made. There's nothing crazy going on with it. It's just having the patience to, you know what layers are going to work well together to achieve the sound. Now, the Haunted Jack sound, you know, you're going to have the MIDI. Now, a lot of my MIDIs, guys, are going to come from remakes. I'm not going to lie to you guys. What I do is I tend to download the remakes that a lot of people make, and a lot of the times the sounds they use are really, they're not really that great. And what I tend to do is just get the MIDI and then remake it myself. And that's how we got the Haunted Jack's lead. You're also going to need the bass, which I think I've made a tutorial on before, which is going to give it that pop. So I'll give you guys one little last preview, and that's it. This is going to be the end of the video, and it's going to be this part here. Alright guys, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to the sound bank as much as I'm looking forward to releasing it. Hopefully you guys like the sounds you kind of heard right now, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and have a good one.